I know around the office we're all kind of crazy in the head about it, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Next up, I want to talk about the new PvP honor system. Now, as we mentioned in this video, we're doing an entirely new PvP honor system, calling this version 3. And so to set a little bit of context for that, I want to talk a little bit about the evolution of the honor system over time and set the foundation for why it is that we're going to do what we're doing. So let's look back to version 1. So I had the great honor and opportunity to be able to do a lot of the design work on the original honor system. And at the time when we first launched it, early in World of Warcraft's lifetime, it was really intended to be something that gave players that wanted PvP something to get excited about and be able to progress in. But it had a couple of critical flaws that led to it being phased out in Burning Crusade. I don't know how many of you played back in the day, the original honor system. Yeah. But it was pretty cool for a while. And that's because anytime you killed enemy players, you did battlegrounds, captured objectives, that sort of thing, you would gain honor. And at the end of the week, we would tally up all the honor that each player got. And then we would rank them based on how much honor they got compared to each other, which is fine and dandy in theory. The problem is, you guys are willing to spend an incredible amount of time every single day farming honor, making it impossible for a lot of people to keep up. We had players that weren't even playing their own characters, having their guildmates log in their characters so they could be the #1 honor character that week. Literally 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that character had to be in battlegrounds, fighting to retain their rank. And the moment they stopped, even after becoming a high warlord or grand marshal, they started losing their ranks. So that was a little bit too brutal. So in Burning Crusade, we moved to a system that was a lot simpler. And it's also carried us for a long time from Burning Crusade all the way to Warlords. That system is essentially a currency system, right? You kill enemy players, you get honor from battleground objectives, etc., and you get currency. You then buy stuff with it, buy PvP gear. It introduced the concept of PvP gear, and this kind of gave us one little tuning point for PvP. It meant that we could do set bonuses that would alter your character a little bit, but ultimately it was still essentially the same character that you're playing in PvE. And that had a lot of limitations, and it's kind of it's gotten aged. We feel like it's really time to update it and address some of those core issues. For example, we've gotten a lot of feedback that gear has way too much to do with PvP. And so we really want to dial back the effect that gear has. For example, if you look at a character here on the left, you're going to see a character that has the introductory honor gear. And their base item level, in this case, is only 620. You have a character on the right that has the fully maxed out Conquest gear, and their item level at 700 makes them 80% more powerful, almost twice as powerful, even when you factor in both of them getting scaled up for PvP. Almost twice as powerful as the other player. And that doesn't really feel right in PvP. It's just not that fun to have players running around with that huge of a power disparity. So we felt like we needed a new system that addresses that and really kind of makes sure that while gear can play a role, it plays almost no role in terms of how powerful you are. So that brings us to Honor System version 3. Starts in World of Warcraft Legion, goes on forever. I'm sure we'll never do a version 4. That would be ridiculous. So here's a look at what that is. And essentially what that is a PvP talent system. So as you gain honor, you'll actually progress through honor ranks, from honor rank 1 to honor rank 50. And as you progress through those ranks, you earn a number of different perks and bonuses, and the most important ones being these PvP talents that you unlock. These PvP talents are designed completely for PvP. They give us the opportunity that our PvP team has actually been asking for me for a long time to be able to balance PvP more independently of PvE, because these abilities will only work in places like battlegrounds and arenas. So as you progress through the honor talent tree, you'll unlock the abilities, starting actually top to bottom. So you can very quickly get up to the maximum power that your character can possibly have in terms of just sheer number of abilities and effects and passives, etc. And as you progress through that tree, you'll then go on and start unlocking the next row. And that gives you some more options to play with on your character. You might, prefer mind quickness, versus, the train of thought talent, for example. And then finally, you unlock it all at level 50. And so, really that brings us to this idea that we want to take a look at what some of these, PvP talents could be. Some examples here. Obviously, only a few examples, and obviously there's going to be a lot of balancing and tuning and tweaking of these PvP talents as we go through the beta process and all that. So some of these may change significantly, but here are some of the core ideas. For example, this first one, the Abolish Magic talent. We envision that as being a talent for the Discipline Priest, because we think that the Discipline Priest, in order to restore some of the distinction to all the different PvP specs in the game, all the different specs in the game in general, we feel like the thing that Discipline is the best at is dispelling abilities, dispelling magical effects. So here they have this ability on a 20-second cooldown that dispels all magic effects every 2 seconds for 6 seconds. It replaces your dispel magic ability. It's just better. Another option here, Adaptation. This one is a kind of core anti-crowd control ability, where anytime you're struck by a crowd control effect, you become immune for a little while, and then it has an internal cooldown. We've seen similar sorts of things in other games like Heroes of the Storm, for example. We also have Blood and Soil. This is a talent for shamans, and it allows your bloodlust to have a shorter cooldown, but be something that only affects yourself and a single target, rather than the entire group. So it gives you a different spin on an ability that you already have. Another different example would be Initiation. This is one that really helps you open up on characters that have, max XP. I mean, not XP, but HP. They're at full health, so it gives you a boost to your crit chance when you first start up on them. We have Mind Quickness, a basic passive, increasing your haste. That gives us kind of a tuning knob for how powerful you can be in PvP versus PvE. Necrotic Strike is another really interesting example, because in the Necrotic Strike example, this is an ability that Death Knights have had in the past that allows them to build up a heal absorb effect that kind of absorbs incoming heals on the enemy target, which is really cool in PvP in a lot of ways, but didn't really have a lot of use for PvE. And in a world where that's just going to jumble up a lot of people's action bars, it feels a lot better to have that kind of thing in a PvP talent system where those talents that really make sense for PvP can be preserved and have that role in the game and really feel like they're focused and we know exactly what they're for. So that brings us to the next concept, which is Prestige. This is a concept that we've seen in other games, obviously like Call of Duty. And the concept here is that if you want to, you can essentially reset your honor level and go through it again. And the reason to do this would be for cosmetic rewards entirely. So if you're the type of person that just wants to be as powerful as possible with all the different PvP options, gameplay options available, you get to honor level 50, you're done, call it a day, have fun, kill a bunch of enemies, upgrade your gear slightly, and have a good time. But if you're the kind of person that really likes the prestige type of rewards, the cosmetic things, then you hit the prestige button, get the little warning dialogue that'll set you back to level 1 of honor rank, and then you go on your way to earning some cosmetic stuff. So for example, you can earn portrait badges to show how many times your character has prestige. So you can see here on the different portraits, you have an escalating badge that gets more and more impressive. This is where we can have things like unique mounts. So in this example, it's one of the black war horses that we'll have. That'll be the only way you can get it is to go through the prestige process. And then finally, probably the coolest prestige item that you can possibly get through the honor system, through prestiging, are these unique PvP artifact variants. So if you want to get these specific looks for your artifact, the only way to do it is to go through the prestige system. And that'll signify you as somebody who has really done a lot of honor killing. Here's a look at a few more. So a lot of those those specific looks that Ian was pointing out, we're going to reserve one for PvP exclusively. They'll probably be very dark and shady versions of them like that. And so that really summarizes what we're talking about for Honor version 3, and hope that to us It's really exciting for us because it feels like the most significant change we made to PvP in a long time, and hope that you guys are as excited about it as we are.